So I am now going to go live to the executive director of the Virginia Rising Action, Landon Tucker Davis. Tucker, he worked for me on the Virginia campaign in 2016 for Donald Trump. He is a patriot. He worked for Ryan Zinke at the Department of the Interior. Tucker, thanks so much for joining.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me.
Of course, man. So tell us what you got going on with Virginia Rising Action.
Well, Virginia Rising Action, we are a grassroots organization. We fight for limited government, lowering taxes, free people, and free markets. We hold liberal groups and their special interest networks accountable. We fact-check leftist politicians whose policies push our country in the wrong direction, and we make sure that people have the most accurate and up-to-date information in order to drive a balanced policy discussion on national and state issues. So I can't think of a more timely rollout than now to be talking about some of these issues.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. Now, obviously, you have deep roots in Virginia politics. Let's talk about the governor, Mr. Doctor, the man who's supposed to be able to steer Virginians through a pandemic. He's faced a lot of pressure since taking office from both the left and the right, to be honest. Do you think he's a capable leader, and what issues do you believe are important to Virginians going into this 2020 election?
Well, no, I mean, Governor Northam has certainly been given plenty of opportunities to demonstrate his leadership abilities. I mean, he's somehow managed to squander every single one of them. I mean, look at how he's bungled the response to COVID-19. I mean, like you said, he's the only medical doctor. Lord knows he never misses an opportunity to remind us that he's the only medical doctor amongst America's 50 governors. And if there was ever an opportunity for him to redeem himself in the eyes of Virginians, this would be that time. But unfortunately, his failed leadership has left our Commonwealth woefully unprepared in providing critical resources and information to the public as we're dealing with this.
Which is shocking because he's a medical doctor. I mean, he's actually, his job prior to being governor, besides being, working in the state legislature, he is a medical doctor. This should be absolutely his wheelhouse. He should be ready to crush it every day at work, and instead we have these halting, odd news conferences that we have to pay attention to because that's the only time that news comes out. And then if you ask a question at the press conference, they don't really know the answer, so you have to wait until they can give you the answer at the next press conference. So question is, how has he left Virginia this unprepared to deal with COVID-19?
Now, where do I start? Back in April, during the peak of the COVID pandemic, Mike, Virginia was named the worst state for COVID testing, or one of the worst states for COVID testing in a Kaiser Foundation study. And when you look at, 60% of Virginia's COVID-related deaths come from nursing homes. And if you look at mid-May, that's how long it took him. It took him to mid-May before he actually started testing nursing home residents and employees. In West Virginia, Jim Justice, he did that back in mid-April. After having just one single nursing home outbreak, Justice started testing all the nursing homes. And of course, now we're dealing with this one-size-fits-all back-to-school plan that he rolled out a week or so ago. Local school districts have been livid over the rollout because it's basically, the governor trying to micromanage these local school districts. So, the needs of the students in Fairfax County are just vastly different from the needs of the students in Buchanan County, where I'm from, or in Tazewell County. So in the more rural school districts, some students don't have access to broadband internet for distance learning. And these local governments can't afford to buy every student a computer or a tablet. So I think there's a huge disconnect between Richmond and local governments right now, and I think some of these school districts are actually considering legal action against the governor for overstepping his authority.
Tucker Davis, I want to dive right back into what we were talking about, which was the failed Northam administration's coronavirus response. Diving back into specifically his response to nursing homes. So Governor Northam's refused to release nursing home data for months, stating it would be illegal to release due to privacy concerns. People have been unable to visit their loved ones in nursing homes for months. They couldn't figure out exactly whether or not the facility that their grandma or grandpa lived in had an outbreak. You have employees at the facility unable to get tested. They come home to their family. Their family maybe has the virus. Why did it take him so long to release this information? These are our loved ones.
Right. Well, Mike, this is obviously information that could have saved a lot of lives. But you're right. I mean, it took him 3 months, and he refused to release the nursing home data. This was during the peak of the COVID outbreak. And then when he released the information, actually, State Senator Ben Chafin discovered that Governor Northam had actually tested twice as many prisoners than nursing home residents. You know, with 60% of the COVID-related deaths in the Commonwealth, again, coming from assisted living facilities and nursing homes, he only tested 10,080 people. That's 27% of the residents in nursing homes in Virginia. But the governor tested north of 20,000 prisoners, so he tested almost 80% of prisoners in the Commonwealth. So when you think about that, that's, you know, it's shocking and it's revolting. But of course, you know, back in May, shouldn't be a surprise because Governor Northam's handpicked parole board actually started releasing dozens of violent offenders from prisons under the cover of COVID. I mean, he released sex offenders, rapists, kidnappers, all under the cover of COVID. So this caught a lot of prosecutors and family members of the victims off guard. They claimed that they weren't properly notified, and actually the Inspector General is looking into that. And so it clearly seems that Governor Northam was too busy releasing convicted murderers from prison to even bother with nursing homes. And we're going to hold him accountable for that, and he's going to have some tough questions to answer eventually.
Well, how can people join you at Virginia Rising Action? How can they help you hold him accountable?
Check us out online at virginiarisingaction.org.
Excellent. virginiarisingaction.org. Tucker, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I know it was a little early, but I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mike. Good to be with you.